What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. The escalating conflict over Wildberries, one of Russia's largest online retailers, similar to Amazon, has drawn in some of the nation's most influential figures, including Ramzan Kadyrov, the head of the Chechen Republic. It also included Suleiman Kerimov, a prominent billionaire oligarch, Sergei Melikov, the head of the Republic of Dagestan, and Bakalchuk/Kim family, the founders of Wildberries. As these powerful individuals engage in a high-stakes struggle for control, the situation is shedding light on how power, wealth and influence is acquired and transferred in modern Russia. Something what was done countless times before, but it was always happening underground. Criminals in the past just could not afford open, bloody confrontation in the middle of Moscow. And today, these huge events are happening right in front of our eyes, with minimum state media coverage. Very paradoxical events. Everything we know is from the independent sources like Telegram and YouTube. When was the last time you, for example, heard a government authority of your country literally announcing a blood feud and almost a jihad against other regions? In our case, well, that's Ramzan Kadyrov. Normally these threats could have been ignored and as emotional outbursts, but knowing Kadyrov, he very well might proceed with his promises, because he knows that nothing will ever happen to him for as long as Putin is the president. So guys, let's talk about these absurd things that can only happen in modern Putin's Russia. The Wildberries conflict has been gaining significant publicity as the parties involved are absolutely no shy in their actions, whether it would be verbal or even physical threats. Something what previously can only be seen in gangster movies or said behind closed-door meetings is now openly discussed by government officials. Ramzan Kadyrov, for example, recently accused Suleiman Kerimov, one of Russia's $10 billion oligarchs, of orchestrating a plot against Kadyrov, claiming that Kerimov had ordered a hitman to eliminate him and Kadyrov's closest family members and friends. In response, Kadyrov threatened a personal vendetta, escalating tensions to a dangerous new level. On the other side, Sergei Melikov, the head of the Republic of Dagestan, pledged his full administrative support to Kerimov, signaling a deepening divide between influential regional leaders. And guess what? Kadyrov, who does not care who to threaten, is now almost at full war against the entire Dagestan region. So quite literally, it's no longer about Wildberries, it is literally Chechnya against Dagestan regions, almost war. Both regions, by the way, are the part of Russia, which makes it in some way, if you think about it, a civil war. And yes, all this started because one online retailer became so successful, some shady people immediately wanted a piece of it. This series of accusations, video messages and public statements has transitioned to explicit threats exchanged between these high-profile officials. The leaders of entire regions have effectively declared hostility towards one another over a chance to gain control over Wildberries. This company, which is now far from being a mere online marketplace, according to the most recent financials, it represents a significant economic powerhouse with substantial influence over Russia's digital economy. Wildberries is a perfect example of a self-made and self-established business, mostly clean one, that inevitably started falling into the hands of corrupt Russians, who simply never have enough. Kadyrov's tactics in this feud are not something new. His approach often involves public pressure and bold declarations to achieve his objectives. Historically, he has utilized public platforms to communicate with President Vladimir Putin, using what some describe as a political blackmail. This method places Putin in a challenging position, and not that we should feel bad about him, where Putin must choose between publicly pushing back against Kadyrov, a move that could have unpredictable consequences, or approving his demands, sometimes granting him increased recognition or authority to just simply calm Kadyrov down. Another thing Putin can do is to simply ignore everything. And it has worked mostly in the past, but Kadyrov is a significant public figure, which can steer some things in the media if left unattended. So sooner or later, Putin will have to intervene, most likely behind the scenes. Understanding Kadyrov's actions requires a look into his established patterns of behavior. His public displays of defiance and aggression have been a recurring theme in Russian politics. For example, between 2015 and 2017, Kadyrov had almost a similar conflict with Igor Sechin, the CEO of Rosneft, and the conflict was about the control of Grosneftegaz, Chechnya's largest oil and gas company. Through a combination of public pressure and strategic maneuvering, Kadyrov ultimately succeeded in gaining significant control over this vital asset. The reason here was exactly the same. Russia's top managers and oligarchs, even though everyone knows most of them are corrupt, they still have to uphold the image of more or less decent business people, while Kadyrov already earned him the reputation of a warlord that can do literally whatever he wants. And when there are no limits in what you can do, it is much easier to win in such conflicts. During this period, several more high-profile incidents occurred that some analysts believe were linked to broader power struggles within Russia. The assassination of opposition politician Boris Nemtsov near the Kremlin in 2015 remains still unresolved. It is well established that these were Chechens behind the killing, but just as easy Chechens were found guilty, the very same easy they disappeared during prosecution process. While there is no definitive evidence connecting Kadyrov to this event, even though once again every Russian knows it was him behind the wheel, such incidents contribute to a narrative of a political climate where displays of power and influence can have serious and sometimes deadly consequences. Kadyrov's methods often involve making bold, sometimes controversial statements and actions that capture public attention. These tactics serve to reinforce his image as an untouchable figure within the Russian political landscape. He has positioned himself as someone who operates with a degree of autonomy, forcing others to respond to his initiatives rather than the other way around, even though technically he is the Putin's subordinate. The current conflict over Wildberries elevates the stakes significantly due to the company's immense economic value. In the previous year, Wildberries reported a revenue of 2.5 trillion rubles, approximately $27.2 billion, accounting for approximately 1.5% of Russia's entire GDP, gross domestic product. For a non-resource related company, this is a huge number. This positions Wildberries not just as a leading e-commerce platform, but as a critical component of the national economy. The company ranks 33rd among Russian enterprises by revenue, surpassing well-known corporations such as Yandex, equivalent of American Google, Aeroflot, the biggest airline, and MTS, one of the biggest SIM card telephone operator company. The co-founders of Wildberries, Tatiana Bakalchuk, now known as Kim, and her former spouse Vladislav Bakalchuk find themselves at the epicenter of this power struggle. Their public responses and continued engagement in business activities suggest a possible underestimation of the risks they face. They are caught between some of Russia's most influential and dangerous power holders. At this point, Tatiana and Vladislav are literally pawns in this game. Vladislav, who went to Kadyrov for help, forever surrendered a major part of the company he owns. Kadyrov seems like he is concerned and even willing to help, but you can almost clearly read his face, which says how uninterested he is in this guy Vladislav. He doesn't care about the struggles, he doesn't care about the family problems, all he cares about is how to take the company away from him. That is why, paradoxically, Kadyrov wants to truly help Bakalchuk, because in the future it will be much easier to take Wildberries from him rather than Tatiana. I'm sure the founders of Wildberries are not stupid people, otherwise they will not be able to create such business. That is why it is so hard to understand why would they go to people like Kadyrov for protection and assistance, knowing very well that their services do not come cheap. There is a possibility that they do understand it, but they just wanted to gain the support of as powerful friends as possible to scare the opposite side, without, as you can see, obviously thinking too much of consequences. The best course of action they can do right now is to take as much money as possible out of their own company and lay low somewhere else, in another country. Dozens of millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars of their estimated net worth will be way more than enough to live a peaceful life. These are legal money, so they don't have much to be afraid of. But the problem of self-respect arises. They know that they built Wildberries from scratch, gave it everything, their time, money, young years, blood, sweat and tears. This is their creation. And giving it up so easy to bandits is not going to be easy from moral perspective. The immense value of Wildberries makes it an attractive target for those seeking to expand their influence and control over such assets. The aggressive pursuit of Wildberries by powerful figures exaggerates the high stakes involved and the lengths to which they may go to secure such a valuable prize. After all, previous raids that they led to seize other businesses are nothing in comparison to Wildberries. These were literally pocket money in comparison to what this e-commerce giant can give them. Capturing it will become one of the grand achievements of their criminal lives, which will allow them to quietly quote-unquote retire, never needing more money than they currently have, while assuming that their thirst for money can ever be satisfied. As you can see, the Wildberries feud is more than just a corporate dispute. The open conflict between Kadyrov and Kerimov, involving explicit threats and the mobilization of armed supporters, highlights a diminishing capacity of the central government to mitigate disputes among powerful regional leaders. This situation raises critical questions about the stability of Russia's governance structures and the rule of law. Putin might control the media, most politicians, and even propaganda, especially propaganda, but not everyone wants to be Putin's henchman. Some things, or I would rather say some people, Putin simply cannot buy them. That is why he has to give them other intangible resources, such as power and being forever forgiven for everything. And while this might work temporarily, soon these people realize that they are the ones who can influence Putin. Just like spoiled kid of a father. The father pays for everything, gives orders, but it is the kid that has a massive influence over father's decisions nevertheless. The potential consequences of this trend are significant. A breakdown in centralized authority could lead to increased instability, not only in the regions directly involved, but across the country. It may serve as an example to other regional figures to assert their interests more aggressively, leading to the beginning of similar conflicts. This erosion of unity possesses challenges to Russia's ability to manage internal affairs effectively. And most importantly, it will portray Putin as an ineffective leader who cannot even control his subjects, let alone initiate a successful invasive war. Those who used to be Putin's closest allies, willing to make his every wish come true, may end up the reason for his demise. Putin thinks he is surrounded by most trusted people. No dictator would willingly keep close those who are ready to betray him, but this is precisely the thing. Betrayal is never obvious, and it always comes from the people you least expect. Well, there you have it, guys. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you enjoyed today's episode and you wish to support my work, there are links down below. Thanks so much for watching, see you tomorrow.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims on us all they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe